Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back.
When Chris Watts went on the news begging for his family to come home, millions believed him. But what he had already done makes those interviews almost unbearable to watch. The man the media believed. The truth about this case wasn't hidden in a crime scene. It was hidden in text messages, Google searches, and a man who smiled on camera while knowing his family was already gone. When Chris Watts stood in front of reporters outside his home, he looked like the last person anyone would suspect. He was calm, soft-spoken, almost polite. He asked his pregnant wife and his 2 daughters to please come home. He thanked the police. He nodded as cameras rolled. Newspapers described him as a worried husband, a devoted father, a man living every parent's worst nightmare. And for a moment, people believed him. Local news outlets replayed the interview again and again. Chris talked about his daughters as if they might walk through the front door at any second. He showed no anger, just a quiet sadness that felt convincing enough. But even then, something about it felt off. He didn't ask for help the way desperate parents usually do. There was no urgency in his voice, no breaking point. He spoke carefully, choosing words that later would be replayed frame by investigators and journalists alike. What the public didn't know about what no headline revealed at the time was that hours before that interview, Chris already knew exactly where his family was. Before anyone else sensed it, Shanann Watts did. Something wasn't right, and she tried to say it out loud. In the days leading up to her death, Shanann sent texts to friends that revealed her growing fear about Chris. These weren't dramatic or angry messages. They were quiet, confused, and heavy with worry. In one text, she admitted, "Chris told me last night he's scared to death about this 3rd baby and is happy with just Bella and Celeste and doesn't want another baby." She also wrote, "He has changed. I don't know who he is. He hasn't touched me all week, kissed me, talked to me except when I'm trying to figure out what is wrong." These messages show a woman trying desperately to understand the man she married, someone she once trusted with her entire life. She feared losing him, but she never imagined the danger was far greater than abandonment. Her texts and writings reveal the heartbreak she carried quietly, trying to keep her family together while the man she trusted was hiding the unimaginable. And while she reached out for reassurance, Chris remained silent, a silence that investigators later recognized as one of the first warning signs of the calculated cruelty that would follow. While Shanann's messages revealed her growing fear, it wasn't until outsiders noticed little things that the case began to unravel. Friends of Shanann became worried when she didn't answer calls or respond to texts. One friend requested a welfare check, sensing that something was very wrong. That small action, a simple call to authorities, would become the first crack in Chris's carefully crafted story.
All County Communications.
My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. She's not answering the door. She's not responding to text messages, phone calls, and there's no movement in the house whatsoever.
Investigators arrived at the Watts home and noticed things immediately off. Shanann's purse and phone were left behind, items she would normally take. Her medications and personal items were untouched. The house itself had no signs of struggle or detail that would later puzzle detectives. Police also began reviewing surveillance footage from nearby areas, and small inconsistencies emerged. Chris claimed to have been elsewhere, but cameras showed moments that didn't match his story. Detectives paid attention to body language as well. Even small gestures, avoidance of eye contact, over-explaining mundane details hinted that something was being hidden.
Does she work?
Yeah, she works from home.
Oh, from home?
She works distance or lifeline.
And your kids take any medication?
CC takes Singular. I'll do on the side. I just want to get everything.
All these tiny clues, almost invisible to the average observer, were stacking up. They were quiet signals that something much darker was happening than a simple missing family case. While the small physical clues at the Watts home hinted that something was wrong, it was Chris' digital trail that ultimately revealed the full story. Chris Watts didn't leave obvious signs of guilt, no public confession, no outburst, no dramatic hints. But he did leave one thing investigators could follow: his searches. And what he searched in the days leading up to the murders is chilling. How to separate from a spouse without alerting anyone. Methods of disposing bodies undetected. How long bodies stay in oil tanks or containers. Financial planning and ways to hide assets. These weren't random queries. Each search showed planning, premeditation, and a cold, calculating mind. Meanwhile, his girlfriend was leaving her own digital trail. She wasn't involved in any crime, but her searches give context to Chris' secret life. Apartments and future living arrangements, wedding dresses and event planning. How to navigate a relationship with someone who was married. What these searches reveal is two separate worlds quietly being built at the same time. So, after all the weird stuff at home, Shanann's phone and purse left behind, her friends calling the police for a welfare check, and investigators started looking closer at Chris. Something just didn't add up. They began tracking his movements, checking time logs, talking to co-workers, and reviewing security footage. That's when things started looking off. Little gaps in his story, trips he said he'd made but didn't fully check out, and just strange behavior. Their attention soon landed on the oil field where Chris worked. On the surface, it was just a normal workplace: tanks, machinery, nothing fancy. But the investigators knew they had to look at everything, because sometimes the most ordinary places hide the worst secrets. They started checking the tanks themselves. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but then, step by step, they found it. Carefully, methodically, the bodies of the kids. Two little girls, hidden inside separate tanks. And it didn't stop there. Following other clues and Chris' own sketchy statements, investigators found Shanann hidden elsewhere on the property. At first, he stuck to his story, pretending like he had no idea what happened. He smiled for the cameras, kept up the act, even met with reporters and neighbors, all while hiding the truth. But the evidence was piling up, and it was closing in fast.
Not being truthful about who took their lives.
I just wanted to talk about that night. What happened?
It was, me and Shanann, she got home like at 2 o'clock. I felt her get into bed, and I could kind of feel her kind of stirring around a little bit. I just had a feeling that she knew like what was going on. I don't even want to say it felt like I had to. It just felt like there was already something in my mind that was implanted that I was going to do it, and I woke up that morning, it was going to happen, and I had no control of it. I woke her up, and it's like, hey, we just gotta talk.
Okay.
And just like I told her, I don't feel compatible. I don't feel like this is gonna work. She's like, I knew there was somebody else, and she's like, never gonna see the kids again. Never gonna see them again. Get off. Don't hurt.
Why do you think she wasn't fighting?
I don't know. Maybe she was praying. Or the scripture says, don't forgive these people for they do not know what they do. Maybe she was saying that. I don't know what she was saying in her head. Did I know I was going to do that before I got on top of her? It's kind of like I just saw my life just disappearing before my eyes, but it just like I couldn't let go. It was like somebody else, like if you picture somebody else around you, holding your hands, holding you, keep you from not letting go. When she was gone, it was just like I didn't know what was going on. I was shaking. I didn't know what had happened.
Even after the confession, people couldn't wrap their heads around it. How could someone plan something so calculated, hide it so carefully, and still show up on camera begging for the family he had just murdered? It was a chilling reminder that sometimes, the person you think you know best can hide the darkest parts of themselves, and that the truth doesn't always live in appearances. For investigators, journalists, and the public alike, the Chris Watts case became one of the most haunting stories in recent memory, a story of deception, planning, and the ordinary details that ended up revealing a horrific truth. If you want more shocking true crime stories and the real truth behind the headlines, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's uncover them together.